Okay, time for an interesting one. So, obviously, I don't use Void, you know, but Void does have many of the similarities with Arctics, which as well. So, we may as well like check out this article that popped up a little bit and see what kind of gems there are in Void Linux that maybe other distros share with it. My previous article, Demystifying UEFI, had an outstanding response, became the top post of the month on R Embedded, and even made it to the top 10 of the year. It was even recognized by Google Discover, and which I myself received as a recommendation, showing me the positive impact it had. So I'm grateful to everyone who found value in my last article. It had got a lot of ups for, and also questions as why I've been using XBPS to install dependencies. So here I'll explain every single thing I saw and experienced that led me to make a permanent shift to Void. Looking back to the day I first installed Linux, I have gained more and more control over my setup ever since. I went from Windows, Kali, Parrot, Debian, Fedora, Windows, Pop, Windows, Arch, Void, and never looked back since then. My distro hopping finally stopped at Void, and I'm on it for more than 2 years now. The reason is simple. It's by far the most scripted distro I've ever seen. See, everybody likes using ready-to-use products, but as you move with them, you feel to lose control over your environment. Things break if you try to swap components, feel restricted and hence unproductive, but if you choose minimalism, getting things done becomes very tedious and time-consuming. Here's the perfect bet, a mix and match of pseudo-minimalism and a lot of automation for getting things done faster than ever before, a scripted distribution, Void. Since I started using Void, I learned a lot, and it had let me swap almost every single component without ever breaking my installation. And I'm going to unravel everything I know about Void. So this is kind of like the general rabbit hole that once you start going down, when you start digging into the Linux rabbit hole, you start going down this hole of creating a workflow that works for you, building headers and like information outputs that show the information that you want. So if you look at my desktop environment, you can see it's got different information that is pertinent to things that I would want information for, whether it be the readily available local IP address, the network name that I'm on, even the speed to some extent, like free disk space, the current weather, and like so on and so forth. So you don't exactly go full minimalism, but you build an environment that works for you. And even then, it's still evolving in many respects because I switch out wallpapers and things like that, add more in, and it's really easy and flexible because if I change, say, my window manager, for example, I can still keep a lot of the other components that are in it. And that's where this scripted distribution idea comes into it. You spend a lot of time up front building it, and then you can script or bootstrap it basically later on down the road. So some boring random statistics. Void released back in 2008. It is getting traction in recent years. According to Wikipedia, as of February 2023, Void Linux had taken a ranking of number 4 with a score of 9.08 on DistroWatch based on user reviews, and as of May 2023, it has jumped to take position of number 1 Linux distro by user reviews with a score of 9.25. Unix porn Discord server stats show that it's been in use for ricing by 55 people, sitting next to Arch at 444 people and Ubuntu at 61. Wide compatibility, it's one of the first few distros that work on ARM platforms and successfully runs on miniature devices like the Raspberry Pi. Side roast, Arch Linux doesn't. Okay, not completely true. There is Arch Linux ARM, but it's not main Arch per se. That's about it. So, not totally true. It's unofficial ARM, but still, it's there. Why is Void so cool? Okay, yeah. Why would anyone want to use it? A lot of times we know the name of a command, but we forget about the package that supplies it. Xlocate exactly comes to the rescue. This comes under Xtools. There are a variety of tools provided. My personal favorite ones are Xlocate. So you can locate a binary or file, and also figure out what package it's a part of and where it's located at in places. Let's see, you've got binfuser, kind of like searches for a bunch of them, and so on. So it's kind of like locate, except it also shows you the package that you would install to get it. Xhog analyze package by its installation size. Whoever came up with these was pretty dang good at what they did. Chroot that performs all mounts to dev sysproc for making chroot ready for everything that can also be extended for display forwarding. So you can do the change root and it automatically does things. It's actually kind of like Arch chroot or the Arctic chroot tools, whatever, for when you're manually installing your setup. Etsy changes, a lifesaver, shows changes of files on Etsy from initial package installation. Oh, so it's a diff. Interesting. Xilog shows installed packages by their date of installation. Interesting. Xmandoc read man pages of not installed packages. That's actually pretty useful. Gensum, Xnew, and Xrev, shlib, some packaging tools. Create a new package, generate checksum and put it in place. Check all packages depending on shlibs of libprotobuf. Huh. So yeah, you can do they come pre-installed or what? Okay. It might not be pre-installed, but the Xtools has everything for putting together your own packages, I guess. Xvoidstrap bootstrap a new void install with just one word command. mkdir new root, xvoidstrap new root. These are so good for a power user, you get complete insight of your installation via a few simple to use no flag commands. There are even more of them. These were just my favorites. Custom ISO. Void MK Live. The released ISO is way too outdated and has a limited set of pre-installed packages, no problem. Void gives you the ability to create your own ISO with packages as latest as today, as well to add packages, directories, and kernel parameters to the ISO. Just clone the Void MK Live repository and run MK Live sh. So, interesting. As an example, this will create the latest ISO with given packages and kernel parameters. This is not just limited to the ISO generation. You can even create netboot images, rootfs tarball, and platform fs tarball. That's actually really useful. I like being able to just download a readily made ISO and then just putting it on USB, but being able to actually tailor it is nice as well. I think there's an Arch ISO utility, and I think Arctic's ISO by now, but yeah. So that's actually pretty cool though. So yeah, hybrid package management in general. There are two types of package management. Binary-based online repositories, pre-built software in the form of binary blobs. Advantages, you don't have to build big packages like kernel or Chromium yourself, which takes hours to build, or Firefox. Source-based online repository provides templates which builds the software on target machine only. Advantage is that you can customize all the compilation parameters as you want, and also easily version bump by changing a line, or apply patches or external files if you need. Void provides the best of both worlds. Void's online repository provides binary-based package management as expected by most modern distributions, whereas it also distributes all packages in the form of templates at Void Linux Void Packages. The builder is popularly known for XBPS source. So binary, let's see, git clone, Void Packages. Okay, so it looks like you might have to... One of the greatest advantages of this build system, unlike others, is that none of the builds interfere with the host system. Everything happens under the isolated chroot, and final build gets packaged into an XBPS binary file in hoster bin packages directory. Can then be installed with general sudo xbps install r, and same directory can serve as a custom mirror. And there you go, you're now a mirror provider. So you can build your packages and have your own custom mirror. So like on occasion, it'll pull and update packages on a different system while you install the ready-built binary on your main system. So you've got the binary base, and it looks like it's built into XBPS as it is for all of it, rather than having a separate AUR helper per se. So you can you have your templates that are provided that take up much less space when it comes to hosting, and then you can go from there, and then what is it? Build your packages and so on. What would it be? You can still use the same package manager and build your packages because you've got the templates there, and it'll run everything for you, kind of like a package build. Strict package standards. Unlike AUR, where each package is split into different repositories and everything depends on the owner of that package, Void uses a single repository for every single package. With this, Void won't accept any random packages until all the criteria have been satisfied and the package is thoroughly tested on all the platforms. This means rolling release, shipping latest versions while being completely stable. It even tracks the common SHLibs to map libraries to packages so it can perform partial upgrades without breaking anything, unlike Arch. Now, this is controversial as seen by Reddit comments. It's actually a personal taste if everything should go in one repository or not. But having multiple people verify the package status over different machine architectures before it's merged and distributed is a good to have. So it can just seem... So having the ability to add multiple repositories means that if the main repository has not added that package or has... if that package hasn't been added to the main repository, then you're going to have to build it yourself anyway. But if you have the flexibility to add another repository, then you're able to still install the packages you want that may be missing and still have the main packages that are otherwise verified. It just... Having many eyes on it can be nice, while at the same time managing multiple repositories for one distro that are multiple main repositories can get cumbersome somewhat, I guess, because you're having to manage through different sets of things, although it allows you to have like your core set of things to get your system up and running, and then everything else split out from there. So it's got its drawbacks and so on. So you could have everything mixed into a singular repository or everything sorted out so that you can kind of narrow things down based on what level they're at and lower your search results because you're able to filter that out. Easy Runit service creation. Everybody I see who tries Void for the first time generally disregards Void because of this. Oh boy. Runit. Obviously, it's not so intuitive for beginners. So it's systemd is pretty basic for a lot of things, but in a lot of ways, Runit, you do have to go with like the RM command when you're removing a service. You do have to link a command manually to enable a service. Although I can still go in and go SV status whatever. So if I go SV, do as SV status, let's say dbus maybe, you can see that I can still run it okay. If I go, let's go lognd. Wait. There we go. So you can still get your statuses without pointing to the full like service path. But they never see the simplicity and easiness of service creation, like this at systemd system rclocal.service. So this is probably, this file is part of systemd, blah, 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 gets pulled automatically. So this is a systemd service startup, or so this is the systemd standard. It's basically an INI file. it shrinks down to this. So etc sv rc local run. So you get your nice single line. See rc local exec chpst rc local pause. This is incredible. Now you never have to look for options in the docs. Just create a shell script and that's it. Side note, although in Runit, RC local already runs from Runit 2, stage 2, this is not even required. So you can knock down a lot of lines to find different things down to like that right there. Let's see, compatibility. Don't think I've really run it. Yeah. Vanilla experience. Things start to get clumsy. The time you start shipping themes bundled to packages, attempting to modify what's bundled is likely to break the system. Void in 99% of cases ships vanilla configurations. Only in terms of optional simplicity, it ships with the extra items, such as global pipewire and wire plumber service for audio, as it's not shipped by the owner, and also because it's initially also tedious to set them up per user basis. Let's see, Debian and Fedora. One of the great things about Void is being an independent distribution is that it's scriptable and keeps compatibility with other packaging standards. You can always install an RPM package in Void with ease. XBPS source automatically handles the extraction. There's even a dedicated script, xdeb, just for that if you don't want to clone Void packages repository. Installation as simple as xdeb, SDE, your deb, and then xbps install and do-do-do. Note that xdeb is not an official way of installing software. Prefer making package templates under xbps source if possible. Xdeb doesn't perform a lot of checks that should be done to keep safety of Void installations. It does, however, automatically detect dependencies, so I showed it for quick reference. Further down the rabbit hole. So it's actually pretty cool to have the utilities that allow flexibility between like two other standard distros that a lot of people like. So it can be difficult sometimes with Arch because you're reliant on the AUR to extract a Debian package or an RPM, and then also having it check that way. So with some of the utilities that way built in or ready to go, it does make it a little bit nicer. Further down the rabbit hole, this is not the end. It goes even further. I didn't even touch upon other scripts such as xmir, xbps, more over Runit stages, the muscle libc, etc. to keep the articles short and crisp. If you want, you can go further down the rabbit hole and be complete guru of Linux without wasting much time in LFS, while still getting what LFS can offer. Source-based complete control. Void is probably going to be one of the best bets available for you. So you can kind of get this depending on how you run your system with Arch even. So if I go and look at some of the other things that I've been doing with my system, if I go to my projects folder, I can go into the Linux TKG folder. And this particular spin of the Linux kernel, which I'm running up here, you can see in my fetch, is a more dialed in performance built kernel, and it's pretty much pre-built with Arch in mind, or an Arch-based distro. So you are building a kernel, and then it builds the Arch packages thereafter and installs them for you. So it's managing that for you. On top of that, you've also got the NVIDIA package, NVIDIA from TKG, that kind of adds tweaks in that does about the same thing. It tweaks the kernel, adds customizations for up-to-date kernels to the NVIDIA drivers, and then goes in from there. So you can have a more fine-tuned experience, but you do somewhat risk breaking it, I guess. And I guess Void avoids making it so that everything breaks with its various different checks that they've built into it. Whatever takes over dozens of lines takes hardly 1 or 2 lines in Void. A lot of helper scripts are a lifesaver. If anything goes bad, even deletion of etc, you can rescue that with X Etsy changes. There's the complete control over the distribution. Hardly any risk is involved at any point in time. Hopefully, it gave you a broad perspective of potentials of Linux and about Void's philosophical differences from other distros. Should be enough for you to start using Linux how it should be. So, the Etsy changes does make a lot of sense. If you are completely bork your system, because that's where your system config largely lies, then that does help with recovery. And there are a few distros that lack the tools and utilities to recover the system somewhat, but you still have the option if you're willing to go in and boot otherwise. But yeah, that's the long call of this article. All in Comic Sans. It popped up on Discord, and I figured it would be a fun read since I went through it blind just like the rest of you. If you enjoyed the video, then like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, boost the video up, share this video with your friends. If you found it informative or you just want to chat, I've got plenty of places in the description, Discord, Guilded, and what have you. Check those out, and I will see you guys in the next one.